Hey there, Angel Reese fan. I see you're interested in tickets. You better hurry. These tickets are hot, hot, hot. We have sold 41 tickets in the past hour. Get them while you can.
It finally happened. The lights came on, the hype was real, and Angel Reese took center stage, only to be met with rows of empty seats. No, seriously, entire sections looked like they were on lunch break. For someone who's been labeled the face of the league by networks like ESPN, this was not just awkward, it was embarrassing. Reese had just picked up her first WNBA win, a milestone that should have had fans swarming Wintrust Arena. But instead, you could practically hear sneakers squeak from the upper deck. Now here's where things get even weirder. The matchup wasn't some throwaway game either. It was Angel Reese going head-to-head with Paige Buchers, another social media darling the WNBA hopes to make a thing. Two of the most followed players in women's hoops. One would think that combo equals sellout. Nope. Tickets were going for as low as $20, and even then, only 41 seats sold in the hour leading up to tip-off. 41. You can get more people at a middle school talent show with free pizza.
Tequila.
Meanwhile, the WNBA continues to act like Reese's follower count on Instagram magically translates to real fans in arenas. It doesn't. Not in Chicago, not in any city.
This is no bullshit. A grand total of 41 tickets were sold in the hour before tip-off. Now, as you can see right here, the purple areas, these are the areas where tickets were still available. 30 minutes before the game, damn near the entire arena was up for sale. For less than $20, you could see these two legends in their own minds compete for the first time in the WNBA dunk. Well, KC, I see some tickets going for over $900. Yeah, that was obviously a mistake. Either the denomination there was meant to be pesos, or that was family members of Angel Reese pretending to sell their own tickets, trying to drive up the price of the rest of the tickets.
And remember, this is the same arena, the Wintrust Arena, that only holds about 10,000 seats. That's one of the smallest professional basketball venues in the country, and it still wasn't full. This is where you start asking real questions, like, if Angel's the future of the league, why can't she fill a small gym? Why isn't her Reebok deal, media push, and constant promotion turning into bodies and seats?
Reebok, shout out to Reebok, they go all out for your girl. Reebok already, we're gonna make this Angel Reese's signature logo. They already have a couple PEs ready to go. They have her clothing line. Reebok's behind your girl. Reebok's pushing your girl out there. But how come it's not translating into attendance? I mean, after all, Angel Reese tells us they're sellouts because of her. People are watching because of her.
The reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Ooh.
Yo quiero que tú me pongas la canción que dice, ¿esos son Reebok o son Nike?
¿Esos son Reebok o son Nike?
Sí, sí.
¿Será esta?
Esa misma, bre, esa misma es.
Maybe it's because the people who follow her on TikTok aren't buying tickets. Or maybe it's because Caitlin Clark wasn't there. Yeah, her absence was louder than the crowd. Let's break this down. You've got two players, Angel Reese and Paige Buchers, with a combined social media following that could fill Madison Square Garden twice. And yet, the energy in Wintrust Arena felt more like a high school scrimmage on a Tuesday night. And here's the part nobody's talking about. Even though official reports claimed 9,025 people were in attendance, the broadcast never once showed a wide crowd shot. Not once. The cameras conveniently stayed zoomed in on players, coaches, and maybe a random bench chair or two. Kind of suspicious, right? Why would they avoid showing the audience if it was really packed? Spoiler alert, because it wasn't. You could hear it in the audio. The silence between whistles wasn't intensity, it was emptiness. Some fans online even joked that the game sounded like it was being held in a church basement. Now, this wasn't just any matchup. This was Reese's first win in the league. This was her "I told you so" moment. And if we're being real, it flopped harder than a Ben Simmons three-pointer. The WNBA had a golden opportunity here. Two high-profile players, a chance to flex the future of the league. But what did they do? They kept it in Wintrust Arena, the same spot they've been struggling to sell out since the season started. No attempt to move it to the United Center, which could have attracted a bigger crowd. No national campaign, just vibes and empty chairs. This leads to a much bigger question. Are we witnessing the limits of hype? Because while Reese may dominate headlines and shoe deals, she's not dominating the stands. The disconnect between online fame and actual fan turnout is starting to show, and it's not a good look for the W. And once again, guess who wasn't in the building? Caitlin Clark. The one name that seems to actually move the needle. When she's playing, games become events. When she's not, we get ghost towns and $20 tickets no one wants.
Angel Reese fails to sell out another home game. Her first game against Paige Beckers, and tickets were going for as low as $20. Are the Chicago Bravado promoting the wrong player? Should Camilla Cardosa be the star of the team?
Let's talk about Reebok for a second. They went all in on Angel Reese. Signature logo, clothing line, custom shoes, the whole nine. You'd think she was the next Allen Iverson the way they rolled out her branding. But here's the problem. Allen Iverson filled arenas. Angel Reese can't even fill a quarter of Wintrust. And that's when the cracks really start to show. You can't manufacture superstardom by throwing money and merch at someone and hoping it sticks. Reese has the endorsements, she has the followers, but she doesn't have the one thing the league desperately needs: real, in-person fans. It's one thing to trend on TikTok. It's another to sell out a game. And while Reebok's marketing team is clearly doing their job, it's painfully obvious the fans aren't buying into the same story. And don't forget, this is the player who was supposed to be the rival to Caitlin Clark, the one who would challenge her both on and off the court. Except when Clark's not in the picture, the interest just disappears. Let's not sugarcoat it. This is a warning sign. If the WNBA thinks followers equal franchise players, they're in for a rude awakening. Because while Reese may be a content machine, the court tells a different story. And unlike the NBA, where a player like LeBron James can drop a triple-double and still lose but keep people glued to the screen, Angel Reese isn't pulling that kind of weight. Even worse, the game presentation itself didn't help. It felt low-budget, rushed, and sloppy. The broadcast missed the start of plays, came back from commercial late, and had all the production value of a local cable access show. This wasn't just a Reese problem, it was a league problem. If this is how the WNBA treats a marquee game, how are they supposed to bring in casual fans who aren't already diehards? You want to know how bad it gets when Caitlin Clark isn't around? Let's look at the numbers. With Clark on the court, a game like Fever versus Mystics pulled in around 581,000 viewers. Without her, the exact same matchup barely cracked 357,000. That's not a small dip, that's a collapse. But here's where it gets downright brutal. Her games on ION, a network most people didn't even know existed last year, are now pulling in 1 million viewers. That's not just impressive, that's historic for the WNBA.
Right down here, this was the Sun Lynx, 431,000 viewers, and the Storm Mercury, 344,000 viewers. All right, look at this. Both down sharply from last year's lone window, Fever Sparks, 724,000 viewers. They were 300,000 viewers light versus the Indiana Fever. And we know now if Caitlin Clark plays on ION, it's a 1 million viewer game. That's where this ended up going, because the ratings on ION, as people figured out where to find ION and how to watch it, it's free on Roku. It's free if you got antenna, just like CBS or ABC. If you can pull it in, ION is on there. As people figured out how to watch it, the ION ratings went way up last year if Caitlin Clark played.
Now contrast that with games without her. Sun versus Lynx brought in 431,000. Storm versus Mercury, just 344,000. Look, these aren't terrible numbers for niche matchups, but they prove the point. When Caitlin's off the court, the buzz vanishes. The excitement fizzles. And the so-called next-generation stars can't carry that weight. Even Angel Reese's games, with all the corporate backing, influencer clout, and media support, can't touch those numbers. Think back to the NBA for a second. When Michael Jordan left for baseball, ratings dropped. When he retired again, viewership fell off a cliff until Kobe Bryant and LeBron James stepped up. That's what superstars do. They make casual fans care. They bring stakes to the game. And right now, Clark's the only one in the W who has that magic. Which brings us back to the league's biggest mistake, putting all their chips on a few media-made stars like Reese instead of building a sustainable base of talent and storytelling. When you rely on one player to carry viewership, attendance, ticket sales, and media interest, you're not building a league. You're building a time bomb.
They tuned out of the NBA when Jordan went to baseball. And then when Jordan retired, they tuned back out again until Kobe came along. This is not hard. Magic and Bird had the casuals tuned in. Jordan had the casuals tuned in. Kobe had the casuals tuned in. Boy, the NBA was really hit a lull on viewership between Jordan and Kobe. Before Kobe's rise, let's put it that way. And then Jordan with the Wizards, that was kind of weird anyway. And he wasn't what he was. It just wasn't the same as when he was with the Bulls. So yeah, if these leagues are going to succeed, it's not the hardcore fan. They got to have the casual viewer. There's nothing to pull in the casual viewer.
So now the WNBA has a problem. And it's not just about empty seats or awkward camera angles, it's about trust. Because when fans start seeing the disconnect between what they're told and what they're seeing with their own eyes, it's game over. Let's call it what it is. The hype machine is running on fumes. They told us Angel Reese was a generational star, that she could sell tickets, carry teams, and bring in new fans. But take away Caitlin Clark, and what's left? A half-full arena, cheap tickets, and broadcasts that look like they were edited on a flip phone. And yes, there's a reason fans didn't show up, even for her first win, because the product isn't matching the promotion. The Reebok deals, the media campaigns, the endless headlines, they don't matter if the games don't feel like events. People want to be a part of something real, something exciting, not a forced rivalry with weak lighting and no crowd noise. And here's the harshest truth yet. Without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's growth hits a wall. It's not just about her talent, it's about her impact. Her presence turns regular games into primetime attractions. Her absence exposes how much the league depends on a single name to stay relevant. Even Angel Reese, with all her flair and brand deals, isn't moving the needle the same way. And that's not just on her. It's on the league for banking everything on TikTok likes instead of actual basketball culture. What the WNBA needs isn't another Instagram campaign. It needs structure. It needs to fix the way it presents games, promote real competition, and stop selling the illusion of a packed house when 60% of the seats are still on StubHub. Because if your most hyped matchup looks like a preseason scrimmage, it doesn't matter how many followers you've got. You've already lost the crowd. If you are enjoying this content and would like to see more and support my channel, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.